When healing begins, purpose awakens. This is a major insight into faith, healing, and purpose. Great night, everyone. Welcome back to a major insight into faith, healing, and purpose. I am your host, Ashley Major, and it is always a pleasure to be here with you all. Um, man, another Thursday. We are back. So before we get started, if you are viewing this live, drop an L in the chat. Let us know where you are tuning in from. If you are watching the replay, drop an R in the chat. Let us know where you're tuning in from. But it is a pleasure to be back here with each and every one of you. If you are new, my name is Ashley Major. I am a faith-based holistic life and wellness coach, cycle breaker coach, identity coach, whatever you want to call me along those lines, because I help women that are navigating healing, navigating divorce and toxic relationships and just toxic life cycles, break free from those and go from healing to becoming so that they can walk authentically in their God-given purpose, own their identity, create influence, and build legacy in truth. And so, y'all, I am excited to just be here to pour into you, to share the things that has impacted not only my life, but the lives of others around me. And tonight is a special night because tonight we have a guest. So yeah, y'all are not going to be sitting here listening to me talk all night. We actually have somebody else that is going to just share some of her story with us and share her journey. And so, we are excited to have her here. This woman is absolutely phenomenal. I actually met her through one of the programs, one of our mentorship and coaching programs that we are both a part of. Y'all, coaches have coaches too. I tell y'all this all the time. I do not encourage others to just use me to help them if I'm not also seeking help. And so we have a coaches community, and this lady has been absolutely phenomenal. She's such a huge support. She's always kind words, great energy. And you'll see tonight our topic is finding light. Let me pull that up right here for you guys to see. It is finding light after loss. Okay. And our special guest, her name is Sonya Dungee. And before I bring her up, I want to tell you a little about this queen because she's such a beautiful soul. And I just love her. Okay. I love her. I think everybody in our community loves Sonya. Okay. So Sonya Dungee, she is a podcast host, a transformation coach, motivational speaker, and she is a serial entrepreneur. Okay. So she is the CEO of Always Destined for Greatness LLC, as well as Finesse for Less LLC. All right. Sonya is a native New Yorker from Long Island. She is a daughter, granddaughter, sister, niece, cousin, aunt, godmother, mother, and grandmother. But most importantly, she's a faithful servant. Okay. Let's give it up for Sonya. All right. So Sonya holds various titles. So we shared some of those, and I just love her passion because not only is she doing all of these things, but she shares her love and she shares it in when she coaches, also in her podcast. So if you guys have ever had the opportunity to view her podcast, and you probably have because I was a guest on her podcast, okay? And so you probably have seen her podcast. She talks about the essence of the soul, right? She's a transformation coach. She's an advocate for the voiceless, a community advocate. She's the president of New Vision Pioneers. This is a Pomona chapter number 85 in Brookhaven. She's a part of the Brookhaven Hispanic Advisory Board member. So she is busy. She is the town of Brookhaven Youth Brew Interface Committee member. She contributes to the National Museum of African American History and Culture. a paralegal, notary public, real estate consultant, and service assistant. She's a trainer for a major telecommunications company, CWA Local 1109 Steward, and she is always a student. Okay, y'all, this woman is a powerhouse. She is doing it all. When you feel like you got too much going on, check her out. Okay, she is doing it all, and I love that. All right, Sonya was the recipient of the town of Brookhaven's prestigious Black History Month proclamation. She considers herself a storm survivor, as she has overcome the struggles and pain associated with grief, feeling the effects of hardship paralysis, and the inability to progress forward, abandonment, feelings of being unloved, unwanted, domestic abuse, borderline anorexia, and the stigma of financial burden of a single teen mom of two. Okay, so she comes equipped with life experience, willpower, perseverance, and community. And these things have given her the desire to walk fully in her purpose while helping others become unstuck, resilient, and empowered with an attitude of expectation and excellence, achieving economic independence so that they can be destined for their greatness while walking in their true purpose. Man, what a powerhouse, y'all. Powerhouse, I tell you. Let's welcome Sonya to the stage, y'all. Woo! Sonya. Yes, yes. All right. So if I'm being honest, I just learned I'll say about 60% of those things tonight. Okay, y'all. But I love Sonya. She is definitely one of those people that pours her heart out. And we are so honored to have you here tonight, Sonya. So thank you, thank you, thank you. If you have something to say before we get started, go right ahead.
Intro. I've never been introduced in that manner before. So thank you so much. Thank you for the invite to be here this evening. It's such an honor. Your podcast is amazing. I have seen your growth. I want to congratulate you on all that you have accomplished, even more so in the last couple of days. I can't keep up with you. I mean, mean, I love you too. When I first heard your story, I grabbed you. We were in class, and I was like this, trying to hurry up and make sure you see this text because I just had to have you on the Sonya Dungee podcast. And you were so honest, you were so transparent, and you really changed lives in those minutes, whether you believe it or not. So I want to give you your flowers and thank you so much. And just keep doing what you're doing because lives are being changed, and that's what it's all about. That's what I'm here for, and I know that's what you're here for as well.
Yes, thank you, Sonia. I appreciate that. Um, it's always, it's always a warm feeling when you hear somebody share a testimony like that. And me and you have talked before about it. And it doesn't matter how many times you hear it, it still touches me in a way, and I'm always humble and grateful. I share with people that it ain't about me, it's about God and who he has called me to serve through my story, and same with you. And so grateful to just be in familyship with you, sis. So now that the formalities are done with, let's get into this, queen. All right. So, y'all, listen, y'all hear Sonia? That is Sonia all the time. Okay. She's such a great spirit. She has such a kind heart. And Sonia, I shared a little about what you do, where you've come from, but I want you to tell the people, who is Sonya Dungee?
Well, kind of lost you here for a second. I didn't quite hear the last thing that you said about. So you basically wanted to know what my come up is, correct?
Yeah. So, how you got to this point, because we're going to touch in our topic tonight says it all, right? Finding light after loss. So, we're going to focus primarily on grief, But
Right.
how do you get to where you are, right? Who was Sonya Dungee?
Great question. So, Sonia Dungee has been found where at one point she was lost. And in that, I mean, besides the accolades and everything that you've already read, I'm a faithful servant. I've really been able to tune into my faith in the last couple of years, which I'm so grateful for that. Without him, without our Lord and Savior, I would not be where I am today, and that's 100. I don't know if you can quite see him in the studio, but the gentleman above here, that's my dad. And my dad, as I held his hand back in 2021, and I saw that cheek, I watched his cheek, and this tear came rolling down it, and he took his last breath on this earth and his first breath in heaven. And for 342 days, I was stuck. When I mean stuck, I didn't know if I was going, I was coming, I had no direction. I isolated myself. I was in a dark place of depression. I lost a lot of weight. I did not realize all of that. I just didn't realize. I was that gerbil or that hamster on the wheel, if you will, just going around and around, just doing the bare minimum to get by each and every day. It was the height of the pandemic, so therefore I was working from home. I work in telecommunications, and that's my job. The job is what pays the bill. My work is my calling. So I was jobbing, and in that, I didn't have to really get dressed up or anything. So I would just get up in the morning, do what I needed to do. I had my bathroom in my bedroom. I went across the living room into the shishi room, worked my day through, shut down, walked back across the living room and back into my bedroom. Other than in there, I was running back and forth to the cemetery for that closeness that I felt that I would be able to feel with my dad's ashes behind the Calabarium wall. Well, I know we all heard the expression, willpower alone will never outdo a community. Well, my willpower did nothing for me for the 342 days. It wasn't
Wow.
until I made that conscious decision that I had a shift in my mindset, my perspective, that enough became enough. My dad would not have expected that of me. He raised his children a certain way, and that was not it. A lot of the things that you heard that I do is because my dad was a volunteer. So I got a lot of my dad's ways built inside of me. He taught me from a young age about volunteering, etc. So I knew that my dad would be displeased if I continued on the route that I was going. I had 3 small grandchildren at the time. I'm blessed with 4 now. So I needed to get myself together. So when I made that conscious decision, December 31st of 2021, I came across our mentor, coach. I made an appointment, the last appointment of the day, I believe, don't quote me, I believe it was 4 p.m., because I said, I am not going into another year this way. Made that appointment, spoke with our mentor. He told me, if you're coachable, if you're teachable, if you show up, if you do the work, I will help you. And I said to myself, I'm going to show him. So I became teachable, coachable, all of those things, and realized one day it's not about him, me showing him. It was about me for me. I got also with our mentor coach, I was blessed into our community, of which how we met. And ever since then, that's where I stay uplifted and empowered, and made that vow and made that mission that I'm going to help women just like me go from where I was to where I currently am by showing up and being accountable every single day, because you have to practice what it is you teach.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that pretty much sums it up.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. There are a few things that really hit home for me, right? One, you went through this process, and for somebody that is not Sonia, who knows that that's not my natural behavior, you would think, well, you're just being somebody who's in the middle of COVID, just working from home, right? There was really nothing much for us to do. But how did you know that you were in a process of grief even though, because we all go through grief, and sometimes we don't look at how our habits can affect our process, right? Or how our process of grieving actually affects our habits, right? How we show up in our day-to-day relations. Sometimes we just, oh well, today, I'm home, let me go lay down. But not knowing now and not realizing, this is becoming a habit. This is becoming frequent, right? So that's the first thing. Like, how did you recognize that this was now deep grief and I need to get a hold of it, outside of the fact that my dad just wouldn't want this for me? Like, how did you recognize that it was grief?
I wasn't being Sonya. I
Mm,
wasn't being my true self. I I had gotten to a point of isolation where, like, my family's my everything, and they would always came first in my life no matter what. And it got to the point where I wasn't seeing them. I wasn't spending any time with them. And it wasn't that I chose to, I just wasn't. And
mm,
I didn't care what I looked like. I just put on whatever. I stayed in the house, which is just not me. There was just so many things that was the opposite of everything that I was about. I didn't want to go anywhere. I didn't want to do anything. I'm a traveler. Girl, I take 4 major trips a year and then trips in between. So if I'm not taking 8 trips, a minimum of the year, there's something wrong right there.
yeah.
I wasn't doing that. Um, I wasn't eating. I wasn't drinking. I wasn't watching TV. I looked in the mirror one day and I just did not like what I saw.
Yeah.
I mean, girl, I don't play when it comes to anything that's light in my hair. Okay? My hair was light, my face wasn't bright. I didn't have that bubbly personality. I just didn't want to talk on the phone, and I love talking on the phone. I'm texting and
Mm,
every day and reaching out to people. Hey, how you doing? Just so you know, I miss you. I love you. Thinking of you. I didn't do anything. So when
mm,
I took a really good look in the mirror, and I didn't like what I saw, I didn't recognize that person that was in the mirror. I was
yeah.
like, who is she? I didn't have my little chubby face because that was I was overweight for a long time. I would
Mhm.
lose weight. I didn't have my chubby on. I just didn't know who that was.
Yeah.
And so it was just enough. It was like I would avoid the mirror. I was like, I can't keep doing this. I mean, I'm so clueless to what life is all about. Like, I never lost my faith, but I wasn't close in faith the way that I am now, you know?
Mm,
So with all of that, and I actually knew that day that my dad died. I already knew that I didn't know
mm.
that person because I was screaming. I was
Wow.
hollering. I had to be pulled down the hallway because I couldn't
Um,
move. I was begging and pleading, and that's not me, you
yeah.
know? And it was just like an immediately bam. And that lasted, like I said, for those 342 days. And when I couldn't look at in the mirror and notice who I am,
Yeah.
and yet I'm preaching to the choir about being uplifted, because even though I was through that, going through all those emotions, if somebody called and spoke to me, and I ended up uplifting them, and I was saying to myself, I wish somebody could uplift me. I wish I could uplift,
Mm, yeah.
you know, because I was masked. I was hiding it. So I thought I was, to anybody who didn't see me, I was still the same Sonya that they knew me to be. But Sonya didn't know Sonya as a self image in the mirror.
Mm,
So that's how I knew. And when enough was enough, and I couldn't tell a story anymore, and I couldn't even convince myself, let's
yeah.
just call it a lie, because it was. I was basically living a
Yeah.
lie. Because I didn't even let my family know how I was truly feeling,
Wow.
because the reason being was I didn't want to be selfish. I didn't want to add to their grief that they were already feeling. So I was suppressing mine. So if
Mm,
anybody asked me how I was feeling, I said, I'm okay. And a word to the wise, if you ever ask anyone how they're feeling and they say, I'm okay, that's a cry for help because they're not okay.
Yeah. Yeah. That's, man, like I'm getting chills right now because and you and I had a conversation earlier, and I shared with you some things about someone that I truly love, and knowing that that's their mantra. I'm okay. Nothing's wrong. When they are dealing with it on their own. And the thing about it is, I see Dawn said the family did know. The family did know. Dawn, the family knew, right? But you guys were probably respecting Sonia, right? Giving her a space or waiting for her to come around. And that's how it often is. But you find that a lot of times hyper independent people, caregivers, those who have always had to have been strong, I find that it's hard for them to let people in because now that image that they've built up about themselves is now going to crumble if somebody thinks that they can't carry the load. But I love that you shared that you were in a place where even though you were uplifting people, you were wondering, well, who's going to uplift me? I wish someone can do that. And that's the silent cries, right? You find that a lot of people, and this is why um, we have to reach out to our strong friends and check up on them because you never know what they are silently battling with. And it's hard when you are grieving. Dawn said the family gave her an intervention. Oh, Sonia, they had to come to Jesus moment with you, Sonia.
Girl, let me tell you two quick stories of what these people were doing to me, okay?
Tell me, girl, tell me.
Okay. So, it was, and I'm going to say who, my daughter-in-law and my two daughters, okay? We were out. I think it was around, it was something to do with my father, okay? It was definitely something to do with my father because we were planning his celebration of life, okay? Now, granted, first of all, my dad died January 23rd, 2021. It was below zero, okay? It was cold outside.
Mm,
So the first thing that they did to me was they kept saying, "Do you want something to eat? You want something to eat?" I'm like, "No, I'm not hungry. I'm not hungry." Because when you're in all of that hunger, if even if your stomach is growling, you don't even see it or feel it.
mm,
Okay. So they kept asking me if I wanted something to eat, and I said, "No, I'm not hungry." Well, they pulled up to McDonald's. I wasn't paying attention. I was just wishing that we could hurry up and get home, really, because I wanted to go lock myself in the room and I didn't want to be bothered with these people. So they ordered me a chicken sandwich, but didn't tell me. So now we're pulling in at my house. All right, now the visual is, think of the CIA and those dark sedans, okay, dark tinted windows, the whole nine. I'm in the middle, okay. I have people on both sides of me and up front. I'm trying to get out the car and they lock the doors and won't let me out. And they
mm.
threaten me that, I'm just going to say this. They threatened me that if I didn't eat that chicken sandwich, I wasn't going anywhere. So, guess what I had to do? I had to eat that sandwich. So, that was the first one. And then, unbeknownst to me, I didn't know because my sister that you're talking to on the chat, she lives in Jacksonville, Florida. I live in New York. I didn't know that they were ratting me out and calling and texting her. Right down to my daughter's
Mm.
father. He was telling her, I was like, when did this kumbaya happen? But so she was aware. I just wasn't aware of her
Mm.
knowing. Okay. And again, I didn't know how or if my sister was grieving, and I didn't want to talk about it. And me and my sister are very close, as you know. We talk all day, every day on the phone. If we miss a day, it didn't matter because we spoke at least 6 to 8 hours on the phone the day before during the course of the day. So I didn't know. So then I'm getting phone calls from her, and I'm like, how did she know? So there
Mm.
was all these interventions. Well, Sonia, you need to start eating. Sonia, you need to do this. Sonia, you need. And that's another thing. When somebody is going through some sort of grief, being told you need to is the worst, one of the worst phrases that you can use with them, because they're going to do the opposite.
Mm.
And that's something that I've been teaching, is how to identify and how to address someone who is going through grief or life challenges, how to speak to them, how to let them know that you're there for them, even if it means you're not having a conversation, you're present.
Yeah.
What can I do for you? You know, I'm here if you would like to speak. If not, that's fine, I'll just hang out here. Or
Yeah.
I'm cooking, I'm going to bring you over a plate. You might not want my company, and that's fine, but at least please allow me to drop it off. Like, just those little things. Not that I was looking for somebody to cook for me, because obviously I wasn't eating, but I'm just saying those small gestures, and the validity in saying that you don't know what to say or do, but I'm here. And
Yeah.
forgive me if I do the wrong thing, or if I say the wrong thing, it's because I don't know what to do. But I love
Mm.
you enough that I am here, and I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah. Mm. That's such powerful advice. Thank you for sharing those stories. They really loved you, Sonia, and they did the best with what they knew how to do.
Girl, every
Did
time I go by Mickey D's now, that's all I think about, is
they
being threatened over
traumatized
a
you?
chicken sandwich.
Oh man, listen, that's love. That's love. That's love. We gotta reframe that trauma experience into, you know what, they really loved me enough to make sure that I had something to eat because they knew I wasn't eating, right? And so now Mickey D is a symbol of love instead of a threat.
Every time I get into that CIA dark black sedan with the tinted windows, it's the same thing. It's like, am I going to be able to get back out of here? I kid you not.
Oh man, we got to reframe that. We got to rewire that experience and look at it from a different lens. That was love, okay? It was a
It was.
bullish way of love, but it was love nonetheless.
It was.
And so there is a point where you made a decision, right? And you said that you enough was enough. You joined, but even in joining, because there can be some stubbornness in the process and it doesn't happen right away. What part of your process where you made that decision that you realized that your grief could be a tool for someone else's transformation?
Okay, you broke up at the end, so I didn't hear, you said something about transformation. If you could just repeat that line there.
So what point on your journey did you realize that your decision to work through your grief would that your grief would actually be used as a tool for someone else's transformation? At what point on your journey?
Great question. So for me, I really can't call it, I don't know if it was a dream or whatever, but I really believe it was a dream. My dad came to me in this dream and he said, "Did you get the gift that I left you?" And I didn't understand it then, but I understand it clearly now. So, in the midst of the grief, the gift that my father left me, that I realized was, I went through this chapter in my life. This is part of my story. And the gift that he left me was, by me going through the grief, I'm able to share my story so that I can help others that I was called to serve. Because you can talk all you want, but you have to be able to talk the talk and walk the walk. So for me, in that moment, that was like a uh-huh. So
Mm,
when I started taking the classes and I started learning and growing, because keeping it transparent, I was the biggest crybaby there was for that first year. I cried in class every single
mm,
class because so much was coming out it was a relief. I was learning, I was personally developing something that I've never done before.
Mm.
And then those tears of pain and brokenness and heartache turned into tears of joy, because not that I wanted my dad to pass, but because of his passing. When my mom passed away 2 years ago, it was a whole different experience for me. I was able to handle it different. So I learned from my grief. I learned in that transformation that storms are going to come again.
Yeah.
Death, we can't stop. We're not here forever. Okay. God tells us that all through the Bible. We're not here to stay. However, if you're going in a storm, you're in a storm, or you're coming out of a storm, there is a rainbow on the other side. Will it
Mm-hmm.
happen again? Yes, it's going to happen again. But it's how you're able to comprehend and use those tools and utilize them so that you can see past the grief. Because when you can see past the grief, there is a gifting in it. As
Yeah.
crazy as it might sound if you've never gone through grief, but if you have, there's always a gift in there. There's always a message in there, that mess, as I call it. When you're going through the mess of life, whether it's grief, life challenges, whatever it is, there's always that message. And so I learned to look for the message. And so I
Yeah.
was able to apply that when my mom passed. I could handle it so different. And I had to be that atlas for my younger brother, because it's just him and I. We have the same
Mm.
mom, different dad. So I was able to support him in a
Yeah.
way that 5 years ago would have never happened.
Wow.
Never happened.
That's beautiful. And I love that you talk about you being a support for him, right? Helping him guide, help guide him through that process. And I want you to touch on, why is it that people are afraid to talk about grief or even acknowledge that they're grieving?
Okay. Um, it's an unpleasantry. It's a sign of weakness. It shows that you're not as strong as you perceive to be.
Hmm.
It's 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 a scary thing. Death is scary. And if you don't have faith, it's scarier, because it's that unknowing. So it's very hard to admit that you're going through something that's uneasy and that you can't control, because we all have some form of wanting to control. That's an uncontrollable. And so that's why it's so hard. You don't know, you can't control it, you don't know what to do with it. There is no guidelines, there is no manuals, no how to's. Trust me, I couldn't find any. And so
Hmm.
that's why it is so difficult,
Yeah.
because we all have OCD in some sort of or another. I know I do. How do you
Yeah.
control grief? How do you control death? You can't
Mm.
wish them back. You can't will them
Yeah.
to come back. So that's the problem with in grieving. You don't want to admit it. It's too
Yeah.
painful to bear. And if you've always come across as that atlas and I got this, and now you don't got this, now you're going to show weakness.
Yeah. And so one of the things, so I'm just like you, Sonia, where I am always a student, right? And
Hmm.
as I dive deeper into coaching and really just helping women, like I'm always learning more about my craft. And so one of the things that I learned within the last 6 months was the difference between depression and grief, right? And so, can you speak to that? Like, because sometimes, you find people, they say that I'm depressed, but they're really not depressed. They're going through stages of grief, but they don't understand it. And so the easy term to say is I'm depressed. Or you have some people that don't want to claim they are depressed because they think that there's something wrong with people who are depressed. Like it's a mental illness. So can you touch
Yes,
on that just a little?
I can. Okay. When we talk about depression, it equates to a mental state, a mental illness, and that's shied upon in our society. If you are declared having some mental incapacity, that's like a, oh my goodness, like you're an untouchable, you're an unseeable. And so we don't want to equate with that. Now, when you're talking about grief, grief can lead to mental illness. And since we are keeping it 100 in here, which can lead to death. And there are a small minority of people, and it's, I believe, don't quote me, but it was about 3% that go from grief to depression and eventually pass on. And so
Mm.
there's a stigma there. So when we're grieving, we don't know how to handle it. So that brokenness and that isolation and then the darkness and all of that just is simulated as and compared to a mental illness. I'm depressed. Depression is a lot deeper. Depression isn't something that you can easily move forward from, and it does take the help of a professional, to be able to help you through that. Now, grief, there is no time frame, there's no limit as to how long a person grieves. It is not conducive to your health
Yeah.
to stay in grief too long as I did for those 342 days. It was but God that I didn't move forward towards that depression and towards that mental illness. But I'm going to be honest, I was getting pretty close there. I truly was. But I just had that willpower, and I just knew that I was here for a purpose. I wanted more out of life. I could have passed on, and that's a whole nother story 4 times over. I knew that
Mm.
God had me here for a purpose. And so that it was my duty to find out exactly what that purpose was. And I had to get myself out of where I was. Because if I survived everything else that I went through along the way in my journey, I could survive this grief. And I'm not trying to downplay it, make it less than it really is, because grief is really something rock solid, difficult to get past. And as I came to find out, somebody that I knew for a very long time recently reached out to me and told me that since her husband died, she's been in grief for over 30 years. And I was like, what?
Wow.
What? You know what I mean? Because she hit it well, and I'm not around her enough to really face to face start picking up on things. So, so that's pretty much what it is. It's like, do you allow that grief to fall down to have you go deeper into a mental state where you will get into the form of depression and so forth?
Mm. Mm. And you touched on it. There's no end time on when you should stop grieving, right? And
No.
I think that is also a part of why people don't really share when they're grieving, because it's like, oh, you should be over this by now. Why are you still on that? That happened a few years ago. But as we know, the emotions come in waves, right? When you think of somebody, you hear a song that reminds you, but it's okay to have those thoughts. It's just not okay to stay there, right? And I love that you shared that. And so our topic tonight is finding light after loss, right? And
Yes.
so the situation has happened. You've gone through, or you've started your grieving phase. You went through what you went through. The family had to come and intervene and lock you in the car and show you some tough love, right? And your dad, he told you, like, listen, I left you something. I left you a gift. And so you were able, as you mentioned, you were able to, your face was a little lighter, your hair is darker, you're vibrant, there's life in you, there's a light shining through you, and you being able to share good words, kind words, and empowering words, encouraging words with someone without feeling like, wow, I need that for myself. How did you really navigate that? And how can, and what words of encouragement would you, or advice would you give to somebody who also wants to find their light again?
Another great question. So for me, I knew what my dad instilled in me, and I knew what type of man that my father was. And so I wanted to carry that, and I didn't want anybody to ever forget JD, John Dungee. And my father empowered so many people. So many people called him dad, and he was an avid golfer. And so, being on that golf course was his everything. And so
Mm,
people were continuously reaching out to me. I miss your dad. I miss him so much. I miss the conversations. I miss the this, the that. I have a ex-sister-in-law that would reach out to my dad for advice on her dating issues and things. You know what I mean? I'm like, whoa, that's a lot right there. You know what I mean? So so I was like, because that's just the person my father was. In our family, we don't out anybody unless it was something serious. I mean, you're always going to be family regardless. And so I
mhm,
wanted to carry that. And I didn't want anybody to ever forget my dad. And I didn't want anybody to look at me and say, oh, what a disappointment,
mm,
what, because it was important to me. I know we shouldn't care what other people think, but in that regard, there's an exception to that rule. And so I just wanted to be the very best version of myself to always make my father proud. And in
mm.
that, I knew that when I was a little girl and I almost drank that bleach in a tea party I was having, and my grandmother caught me at the last second, that was one.
Yeah.
One of four times.
Mm,
Okay. I didn't die. I didn't drink that bleach. You know, I survived so many different things. And so I need to make sure that I value my life
yeah.
and make it purposeful. And so that's
Mm,
what I set out to do, because not everybody has that willpower. So I decided that I was going to help these women, not that I wouldn't help men, but people just like myself be able to move forward. And so in doing that, I had to be the best version of myself. And I say this every single day. I woke up this morning, so everything else in life is operational, because there's people who did not,
yeah.
from all
Yeah.
walks of life and ethnicities. So therefore, that's what I do. That's how I start my day, no matter how I'm feeling. Like right now, I'm sick with a cold, but you wouldn't know it unless you kind of hear it in my voice, sweating and all. But I'm like, I am going to show up. And there is somebody that needs to hear what it is that we are talking about on this platform tonight. And so I have to show up. You have to show up. We have to show up. And
Yeah.
that's what we're doing. We show up every day, no matter the circumstances. We woke up,
Mm.
we show up.
I love that. I love that. I love that. It's you can hear the passion in your voice. Y'all, let me tell y'all, Sonya's such a sweetheart. I so love Sonya. Y'all hear her here talking. This is how she shows up every day for real. Like there's no fronting. Some people talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk. No, Sonya is in our community every single day, empowering others, leaving some words, commenting on everyone, supporting everyone, sending birthday shout outs. Like this is who she is. Like she has such a great spirit, a great heart. And you know, it's important for us to not let our light dim, right? To be the person that we are called to be 100% our best self, even on those days when it looked like 60%. If all you have is 60%, give that 60%. You're not 100 right now. You're going through, you have a cold right now, but you are still here showing up. And like you say, we would never know unless we hear it in your voice, unless they even know what your voice sounds like without a cold, right? Because these people don't. No, right? And so because you said it, now they do, but before they didn't. And so finding your light looks like being that light even when it feels dark, even when you don't want to show up. Show up. Show up. Show up. I love that. I love that. So, is there any practical steps that you can give outside of just showing up? Like, what are some steps that people can take when they are navigating this journey?
Well, the first step is to acknowledge. You have to acknowledge how you're feeling. Don't suppress it like I did. Acknowledge it. Allow yourself to feel, which I did not. If you're not feeling your best, if you're in the midst of a life challenge or hardship, grief, no matter what, it's accept it, acknowledge it. This is happening, but this too shall pass. And once you acknowledge it, you accept it, and then you find ways in which you're going to be able to move forward in that. So if you are a faithful servant, Proverbs 3, 5, 6 it all day, every day. I Proverbs 3, 5, 6 it no matter what. I give it to God, and then I know that He's going to direct my path. So whether you're a
Hmm.
believer or not, you have to let it go. If you can't control it, you can't fix it, you have to let it go and move on. That's the thing. Let it go, move on. I didn't let it go, move on for those 342 days, and that willpower got me nowhere. Willpower alone will never, ever, ever outdo a community. So at that point is when you reach out to a community, a loving, supportive system, a network, family, friends, which I did not do. Say, hey, I'm going through something. I just
Yeah.
want you to know. Or hey, can we go have lunch? I just want to be around someone that's going to uplift me. I'm not feeling my best today. But you have to do that. We're not Atlas. We were not made to carry the world on our shoulders, even though we all think that. I always thought that I had to do that, but I don't. I don't. But I needed to stop being trying to control something that I couldn't control and allow others to enter into my life, network with me, support me,
Yeah.
uplift me, not degrade, not tell me negativity because that shuts a person down, but
Yeah.
just non judgmental, supportive persons.
Yeah.
And in that, mentorship,
Mm,
mentorship, develop it yourself personally. You always have to invest in yourself. That is a priority, to invest in yourself and be a forever student, always willing to learn and grow and not think that you know everything, but
mhm.
open up your heart, your mind, your soul, and let the light come through.
Yeah. Mm. Wow. That's so powerful. You are you are so great with how you show up and encourage. And I see Charlene shared it in the chats, like she is gifted with encouragement. Do you know that that's a spiritual gift, to be an
Yes.
encourager? Yeah, yeah, you are definitely gifted in that area. And so it's great that you share these points: awareness, letting it go, giving over. I'm a Proverbs 3, 5, 6 woman as well, girl. Because listen, when I heard our mentor break that down into 3 commands and a promise, I was like, okay, I have
Yes.
never heard that way. But Lord, I thank you, because before the promise, we have to be obedient. And if everything that we're doing, y'all know I'm gonna take it back to scripture. Thank you for bringing that up, girl, because I love teaching from the Bible.
Come
But
on,
before
girl.
we can even show up in just be who God has called us to be, we have to recognize that he wants us to do some things, right? Before he can give us what he has for us, we have to do some things. And so in that process, you have to let go. The friend that I was telling you about, she recently mentioned, she was like, you know what, God is calling me to let go some things. I've been seeing this message for a really long time now, and I'm seeing it consistently every day. And I feel like God is speaking to me that transformation is about to occur, but only if I let it go. And we have to, and she's aware, because before she even said it, and she told me what it was, I was like, girl, God calling you to let something go. You need to let all of that weight that you're carrying. You're no longer responsible for anyone. You've had to been the caregiver for a lot because you had to grow up real fast. And now it's time to live your soft girl life, and God wants to take care of you, but you got to let it go. And so having that awareness, knowing that you have to let it go, trust in the Lord, give it over to Him, and He is going to guide you. Having community is everything. Being vulnerable enough to ask for support, right? Non-judgmental support. Hey, I just need you to be, and being honest about it, letting them know, like, this is what I need. I don't need nothing more, nothing less. I just need you to be here. Can you do that for me? Being honest with that, with the people that you have in your community, seeking personal development, seeking mentorship, seeking someone to help guide you along this journey, and showing up every day. I love that. Thank you so much. These are such practical tips. Y'all, I hope y'all taking notes. I hope y'all taking notes. Write these things down, because it is such practical tips. And even if you are not somebody that is grieving, if you know somebody, this is something that you can share with them. A lot of times we'd be like, well, I don't need this, but who do you know that does need it? Stop thinking about yourself for a moment and share this with somebody who need this right now. There's people around us, and there are signs, right? There are signs. And Sonia, before we go, we didn't touch on the signs. And I do want to just briefly touch on, how do you know when someone is grieving? Because sometimes they show up as their best self. You did say, well, if they say that I'm not okay, if they say I'm okay, then really they're not. That's a cry for help. But give me like two other signs that people can look at and be like, okay, maybe this person, there's something more going on.
Sure. So one of them is if they don't talk about the loss. People say loss, and I'm going to use it tonight, but for me, the person is always in my heart, my mind, and my soul. So I don't see it as a loss necessarily, but loosely. If they're not talking about their loved one, they're grieving, because I didn't
Mm,
talk about my father at all. Okay.
mm,
If you see them starting to go solo and do things off to the side by themselves, or spend a lot of time behind a closed door, they're definitely grieving, because every chance I got, I was going in the bathroom and I was crying like a baby. You came back out
mm,
and thought nobody knew. But that withdrawal, that isolation, um, not being that personality bubbly or whatever their normal personality is, if they're not that same character, that's a characteristic, excuse me, that they are grieving. If there's no
mm.
normalcy, if they're doing things on the fly that they normally would not do, they're grieving.
Yeah.
They're grieving. If you're not
Let,
seeing
let,
them,
let me stop. Let me stop you right there for a minute, because I want to touch on your friend that shared that she is grieving for 30 years. That, for some people, that's the norm. How would somebody know if you're coming in and getting to know a person in the middle of their grieving, and now it's been 5, 10 years, and you're trying to figure out, well, something's wrong, but like, how can you tell that? Because that's a difficult space to be in, because this person has always been like that, as it pertains to you, as you've seen them, right?
yes. Well, for me, after she said that to me, she actually DM'd me. She actually DM'd me about it. And I sat back and I really thought about it. And I'm like, this isn't a person that I see every day, but the characteristics that she was showing me in what she was posting online,
Mm,
there wasn't fun things. It wasn't loving things other than the family. She wasn't posting or angry things. Sometimes I'd be like, wow, like I don't think I would have put that up there. You know what I mean?
mm.
So their social media postings is big. So I started thinking, I'm like, you know what? Check. Now I know to look
Mm,
for that, but that was definitely one. And
yeah.
two, sometimes because I said every day I send out a thinking of you or something, she wasn't responding to me.
Mm,
She would put a one of those likes on a post, but she would never comment on it. Or sometimes I would just DM her, "Hey, how are you today?" Nothing. And it went on for
mm,
some time, but it didn't stop me because I still send one every day. But that lack of response and the things that they post on social media, and
mm,
how they are just conducting themselves on a norm.
yeah.
If they're closer, where you can see them more, there's a difference in their appearance,
Yeah.
you
Mm,
know, those type of things. But if it's
yeah.
somebody in the instance where I don't see, those are the things that are red flagged. And now that
Yeah.
I thought about it, and I really did, I'm just, she's looking, she's watching. Yes, I am talking about you. I am. I am lovingly, because
Lovingly.
lovingly,
Yeah.
and they they tend to get ill a lot more. And I
Mm,
noticed that with her. Every time I turned around, she was having some type of surgery. She was sick. She was something. And that's because her body's been breaking down over the years because of that state of grief, and in not being as mobile, and all these things, they add up. And so
yeah.
now I'm like, now I know what to look, whether they're in my face or they're from a distance away. Like, check this, check
Yeah.
that.
Wow. This is such a valuable conversation. I definitely we got to have a part two because I feel like there's so much layers to unpack here. It is important that we pay attention to these things. But also it's important that you know that grief is not the end, right? Grief could be the soil to bring new life, right? Because here it is, your dad left you a gift in his passing, in his, you said he's still with you, but in his transition, he left you with a gift where now you can use this story to empower others. You can use this story to encourage someone else that is navigating this loss, right? Whether it's for the first time or they're navigating multiple losses at the same time, that you now are a voice for the voiceless. I love that you said that. You are the voice for the voiceless. Being able to encourage, uplift, empower, and really guide, because that's what you do in your coaching, right? And so we're getting ready to wrap up and bring this thing in for a landing. So, Sonia, tell us about what it is that you do.
Okay. So before we do that, okay, I want to offer to the first 5 people, okay, first 5 people that DM me the word change, and they're up here. You could reach me on Instagram, YouTube, or Facebook. Change.
I'll take a screenshot. Go ahead, Sonia. Sorry for that.
No problem. I have a gift that I will be sending to you, the first 5, because we are in the last quarter of 20. I'm sorry, we're in the last of the third quarter, going into the first on October 1st of the 2025, and we have to make some changes. And so this is my way of helping to uplift and begin that change. So I will be sending you a gift if you DM me the word change. So I want to do that for you. So thank you for that. Okay. So next, I got so excited about that, now I forgot what you asked me.
Tell us what you do. You're coaching.
Okay, yes. So I'm a transformation coach, and I get to help those that are suffering in hardship, in life challenges, and in grief, that are just as I was, suffering in silence with no direction and no end in sight, move forward to transform. But they have to want to. We have to move forward. So they have to want to move forward past it and just don't know how. So I get to help them, give them the direction in order to be able to move forward with an attitude of expectation and of excellence to reach economic independence, so that they can be walking in their true purpose and be the best themselves that they could be, and hopefully even emulate and do what it is that I do as a transformation coach as well. So I pay that forward. So I love to do what it is that I do. And like I said, my job is what pays the bills. This is my walk. This is my calling. This is my
Mm,
work.
yeah. Mm. Y'all, she's such a powerful powerhouse. Like y'all, if this sounds like you, or if you know somebody that needs someone like Sonia in their life, helping them navigate these transitions and being able to come out on the other side, then please hit her up. Y'all have her socials. Send her a DM. Let her know that you want to work with her. You want to book a call with her just to see if you guys are a good fit. I encourage you guys to reach out to Sonia. I'm going to put these up right quick for a split second. Take a screenshot and reach out to Sonia. All right, Sonia. Now, before we close out, I thank you so much for just sharing all that you did. But before we close out, I have, just to lighten the room because that was such a heavy topic. So I do with this or that. So I'm going to give you two options. You tell me out of the two options, which would you choose? Okay.
Okay.
Um, so would you go skydiving or camping?
Well, if I had to choose one or the other, I'm going skydiving.
Yes. Oh, see, she's
You
an
don't
adventure
do no
junkie,
bugs. I
just
don't
like
do
you.
bugs. I'm
All
adventurous. Let's do this. Let's do this.
okay, all right, all right. So, would you rather climb the Great Wall of China, or would you rather go scuba diving through a blue hole?
I'm going to China.
Great Wall of China, you're gonna take those steps.
I'm
Okay,
going to take those steps.
love it, love it. Okay, last one, last one. I got to make this one exciting. Let's think about it. Well, I can't even ask you that because you live in New York all your life, so you clearly love the snow.
Whoa.
You don't love the snow, girl, and you ain't moved yet.
Let me tell you, I always said, "Oh, I love we have four seasons and this and that." Sonya don't do the snow. Snow is
No.
beautiful. It is beautiful. You know, we can go out and play with the grandchildren a little bit, but we play basketball. I don't do that outside cold snow stuff. No, thank you.
So,
Now,
so would you rather snow or a nice warm beach?
girl, warm beach it is. I'm going to Mexico in November.
Hello. I love it. I love it. I love it. Awesome. I see we got Charlene on. Thank you for joining us, Charlene. We have Maria, Rosie Lastra on. Thank you for joining us, Rosie. Man, Sonia, this was a great conversation. I thank you so much for just being here. Thank you for your yes. Thank you for your vulnerability. Thank you for just, all that you do in our community, being a great support. I love you, girl. And any last words before we close it out?
Well, you know I love you too, and you know I had to get on your case the other day because of what you didn't tell me. But thank you. You did redeem yourself. I'm gonna say that. You redeem yourself. Thank you so much. Um, you're inspirational as ever. I love the tea party. I'd be all up in your business every day. I'm like, oh, that was something I probably would have went to. Oh, I don't remember getting invited, but I just love to see what you're doing and keep doing it. Um, Something else, I am the host of the Sonya Dungee podcast, so I invite you all every Wednesday at 8 p.m. on all three platforms that Ashley had put up. Come hang out with us because we are going to talk deep, and our conversations is always the essence of the soul. So I welcome you for that. And for word to the parting is always remember you're a boss warrior queen. And sometimes we just have to remember to lift our heads up high, adjust our crowns, and keep it moving. We have to boss up at all times. We are valuable. We are worthy. We are so loved. We are God's masterpiece. And in that, I want to say to all you, stay well, and stay blessed. And I love what we did today, and I don't want it to end, but I see the time, so there will be a part two.
And Sonia, man, you had me waiting for it. You didn't do your tagline, sis.
Oh, sorry. You want me to do
Go
my
ahead.
tagline?
Your
The ending?
tagline. It's right on
Okay.
her screen, y'all. Listen, I love it. What are you always?
Okay.
Let me give it to you. What are you always destined for?
I am always destined for greatness, my very best, that is not going to be compared to somebody else's middle.
Yeah.
And let me just ask
Yes.
this to you. Let me just ask this to you if I can. Fill in the blank. Be always destined for blank.
Yo, this is what she does at the end of her podcast. I just love it. Okay. So be always that I didn't even think about this. Okay. What are we always destined for? To walk in our God-given purpose. Be always destined to walk in your God-given purpose. Know who you are in Christ, because each of us have an identity that God already predestined for us, and we need to align with it. We all have purpose that were predestined for us. And so you don't have to find your purpose. You just need to unlock it because it's already within you. And so always be destined to walk in your God given purpose.
Yes. Amen.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Sonia. Y'all, Sonia was such a pleasure to have on. I hope you guys got great value from tonight. Definitely hit her up, reach out to her. And y'all, I want to open up my calendar right quick for those of you. I am still taking restoration calls. I'm gonna close them off next week. So you guys have a week, book your calls, scan this code, get in my calendar, because we have a lot to talk about. If you are a woman who's navigating healing, if you are a woman that wants to go from healing to becoming and ready to walk in your God-given purpose, ready to own your identity, create impact and influence, and build legacy and truth, then this is your season. This is your time. This is a new year, queen. It is time. Let's go. Okay. Now we got to go because we got a next event right now. So we will see y'all later next week. Same time, same place, queen. Ta-ta. This is a major insight into faith, healing, and purpose with Ashley Major.